Hello, this is Greg Ayler and Joe Kostelski with Texas Hills Realty, LLC, bringing you Realty Talk, where we discuss real estate topics in Fredericksburg, Gillespie County, and the Central Texas Hill Country. We're located at 502 East Main in Fredericksburg, the northeast corner of Main and Elk, right behind the old 1931 red and black Ford truck with the chickens on back. We have 4 amazing agents, including Joe Kostelski, Malin Williams, Phil Fry, Andrew Harvey, and me, Greg Ayler. We welcome your real estate questions, and we'll do our best to answer them for you either privately or on the air. You can call us direct at 830-997-6123 or email us at info@txhillsrealty.com. We have some great resources to rely on for help in answering your. As we said last week, we've been busy this spring selling season. Inventory is low, and in many cases, pricing is tending higher. That said, buyers are still looking for reasonable deals, so we're not in that anything goes type category that some markets eventually bubble into. And Joe, thank you for helping me today as the Realty Talk host. You've been on the air with me before, so it's probably getting to be pretty comfortable for you, am I right?
Actually, yes. Thanks for asking me here today, Greg. I appreciate it, and I do enjoy doing it. But I think most importantly, what we've been able to do over the last few weeks is actually expose some of our listeners, which are buyers and sellers, to some topics that they might not otherwise be knowledgeable on. And I'm hopeful that we're having more informed buyers and sellers out there in the real estate market.
Likewise, I hope for the same thing. Today, Joe and I wanted to discuss an important component of our rural real estate properties, the Hill Country Underground Water District. We may refer to it today as the Water District in our conversation. And with us today, thank you, is the local Water District Manager, Mr. Paul Tiber. Paul, thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you, Greg. It's my pleasure to be here today. Before we get going, I thought I'd give a little bit of history on the groundwater district that we have here. We were created in 1987 in the 70th legislative session. We are one of about 100 districts across the state of Texas. We were the 25th that was created. So you can see that since 1987, there's been a number of districts formed across the state. The purpose of a district is to protect, preserve, and conserve the groundwater within their district. We have 5 locally elected directors. Our chairman is Alton Clear. Vice chairman is Voy Althouse. Secretary is Taylor Verdell Jr. Other director is Tom Dance and Steve.
Paul, I have a question for you. What's the geographical area that the Hill Country Underground Water District covers?
We are a single county district, and we cover Gillespie County.
Well, that makes it actually pretty simple. I know as a realtor, you guys have been great resources to us, particularly when we have buyers or people that are looking at pieces of property. And you and Margaret down there have been very helpful. And when we go down there, a lot of people want to know, what's the water like underneath my property? So we have a tendency to go down there and get well logs for existing wells and maybe even look at some of the surrounding areas too, so we have some kind of expectation on what the water output is. But can you tell us a little bit more about just a broader picture of what your duties and responsibilities are?
Well, we as a groundwater conservation district, we are actually a regulatory branch of the state. We permit and register water wells that are drilled here in the county. The wells that we permit are those that are used for irrigation, commercial, or municipal purposes. The wells that we register, those are domestic or livestock wells. Now, in addition to this, we do a number of different groundwater studies. We have a number of different monitoring programs that we measure water levels regularly over the year. In addition to that, we have an in-house laboratory where we provide water testing for people within the district. In addition to that, we have accumulated a very substantial database, which, as you refer to, you are able to utilize in your business. And this is something that we provide as a service to everyone within the district. We've conducted a number of groundwater studies, models, three-dimensional models of Gillespie County. This is a very complex geologic area, and so we've been able to really get a good understanding of the geology here, which has a direct impact on where our aquifers are.
I think the single couple of most biggest uses for me over the years, and Paul, I thank you and also Margaret Ratliff for being there. Y'all have always helped us very pleasantly and thoroughly. When I have somebody who wants to purchase a property out in the country somewhere, I really like for my people to know what the wells in the area are like, so that they can have some idea that if they drill a well, what it would be like. Also, that testing service that you just mentioned, I've appreciated that, because we can find out what some of the components of the water is in order to give our customer some idea of what his water would be like on his own property if he bought and drilled a well there.
Thanks, Greg. I know as a consumer, speaking on behalf of myself, and I think for a lot of other people out there, is that, we live out here and we want to be assured of a long-term good supply of good water. And I'm wondering, with the growth in Gillespie County, plus the addition of commercial operations such as wineries in the area, what our long-term projections are in terms of being able to supply that water for all the needs that we have out in Gillespie.
Yes, the projections that we have, that we work with on that, are taken from the Lower Colorado Regional Water Planning Group. They produce a study every 5 years, which within the region, which covers Gillespie County and other counties as you go toward the coast, they determine what the population projections are going to be, and then what this population is going to need for water. And this is done every 5 years. And as of the last study, which was completed in 2016, we show that the population of Gillespie County will be growing from a current of about 25,000 individuals up to a maximum of about 36,000 in the year 2070. The water demands that we'll need for this population, and this is all going to be based on acre feet, and an acre foot is 326,000 gallons. But currently in the year 2020, we're looking at a demand of about 9,000 acre feet, and this is for a population of 27,000 individuals. And this is projected to increase out to 10,550 acre feet to the year 2070. Now, our availability, current availability with all of the aquifers that we have, is about almost 13,000 acre feet. So that would indicate that for the next 50 years, we do have adequate water availability for the demands that we're going to be seeing. The problem is that we have 4 main aquifers: the Edwards, the Trinity, the Ellenberger, and the Hickory. And the one that we are most dependent upon, the Ellenberger, we have estimated that it has about a little over 6,000 acre feet available annually. And so we have the irrigation coming from there. We have the municipal, the city of Fredericksburg. They're totally dependent upon that. So our current demand on the Ellenberger is less than that, but I think that in the year out to the year 2070, we should reach or exceed that availability in the.
Wow, good to know, Paul. I know I've looked at the three-dimensional models that you've had, the geologic models that show all the different aquifers, and it's actually really pretty. It's an amazing file to take a look at in a three-dimensional period too. But I'm wondering if there's still a takeaway, even though it looks like for our projected uses out to the next 50 years, if there's still some responsibility to us as stewards that live out here to have some sort of conservation efforts that are in place right now in order to protect this water supply for our successors and our heirs and our grandchildren.
Well, that's certainly correct. We all need to act as if our water is not going to be around in the distant future. So all efforts to conserve it should be made.
What about rainwater catchment systems? Paul, is that something you're generally inclined to be in favor of, or would you discourage rainwater catchment systems?
We certainly encourage it. In fact, there are certain parts of the county where you're just about mandated to do it due to the fact that the aquifers there are of such poor quality.
Paul, another question I had, and there's a lot of questions overall, but we're limited by time, but I had a question about plugging abandoned wells. What constitutes an abandoned well, and why is an abandoned well a potential problem?
Well, an abandoned well is one that is deteriorated, or if it's just uncovered, that would be considered an abandoned well. If you do own one, you are required by state and local laws to either plug or cap that well. Capping would include just having a cap cover the well where it would be able to support 400 pounds. The plugging of a well would be actually filling the well full of either bentonite or cement. We do offer plugging material for wells to landowners here in Gillespie County. If you own an abandoned well, we will give you the bentonite, which you can go ahead and utilize in plugging any abandoned well you may have. The dangers with abandoned wells are that they can be a source of contamination to our aquifers. They would be a direct conduit from the surface to the aquifer for potential contaminants to enter.
Paul, I'm just wondering how many wells on an annual basis do you think need to be plugged, and what's the general or an average cost to a landowner that has to do that?
Oh, I couldn't give you a number on the number, but there would probably be considerable amount of abandoned wells. This is an old county. It's been around a while, so there have been a lot of wells drilled over the years. We have, this year so far, we have provided bentonite to plug 3 wells. So.
And is that bentonite provided free of charge, or is that charged to the landowner?
It's provided free of charge.
Wow, excellent.
Hey, Paul, another topic I thought we'd get into is what's the tax rate? I know you guys are a taxing entity and therefore servants of the people. Just kind of curious as to what you charge the property owners, and then what's the annual budget look like for the underground water district?
Okay. Our tax rate is 0.0078 cents per $100 of valuation. So that's less than 3/4 of a penny per $100 valuation. This generates a little less than $295,000 for our operation. And I guess for an amount per owner, you would see us on your tax statement, and it's generally not more than $10, certainly usually less.
Paul, are there any major concerns for water production in Gillespie County and or even contamination issues that our water district has to contend with?
Well, from a water production standpoint, we do have areas of the county where water production is very limited, and in those areas, rainwater catchment may be your best option. From a water quality standpoint, generally the quality here in Gillespie County is very good, very hard, but other than that, it's generally very good. We do have some localized area where we have high chlorides, and we also have some high sulfates. And there's also some areas where some of these older wells may have some high nitrates. But overall, the quality here in Gillespie County is very good.
Paul, just want to thank you for joining us today. You've been a great resource to us in our profession, but I'm wondering how can the average person out there reach you, and what resources do you have for them to be able to maybe get some more of this information?
Okay, well, our office here in Fredericksburg is located at 508 South Washington. We have a website, and on that website there is a wealth of information concerning the aquifers here in the district. And that website can be found at www.hcuwcd.org.
Our rural property owners often want to know what the water well situation is before they commit on a property in Gillespie County outside the city limits. The water source and supply is pretty important in their consideration of a purchase, and that's where we come in at Texas Hills Realty. We do our very best to research that water supply information, which is used to promote for our sellers, and especially when the water is prolific. And we also use it to supply our buyers with the information and the sources in order to get them comfortable in the purchase that they make. We do our best to let you know what we know relative to the water supply, and we rely real heavily on Paul Tiber and Margaret Ratliff at the Hill Country Underground Water District. Paul, thanks to you and to Margaret for all your work and continue to provide us with information. We appreciate all your help.
Well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure being here with you.
And thanks to Joe Kostelski for co-hosting today on Realty Talk. Do you have anything else, Joe, that you think we should hear?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of takeaways that I have, Greg. It's despite the fact that we're in pretty good shape and our long-term outlook looks pretty good for good quality water in Gillespie County, and that's important to us and our quality of life. But at this point in time, we still should be careful to conserve where we can or use other alternate methods in order to make sure that the supply lasts even longer, and that, as I mentioned, our grandkids and heirs and successors also have the same quality that we have right now too. So thank you, Paul, for all that information. We appreciate you being here.
And thanks, Joe. Texas Hills Realty folks have been performers in Fredericksburg for almost 23 years, so we know the ropes. We know the selling and buying process of what it takes to be successful, whether it's homes, ranches, or commercial properties, or whether they're being sold or leased. Realty Talk is brought to you by Texas Hills Realty, LLC, on Saturday mornings between 9 and 10 and on Sundays. Greg Ayler, Joe Kostelski, Phil Fry, along with Malin Williams and Andrew Harvey, we appreciate your support. We've been in the real estate business here for, like we said, almost 23 years, and we're easy to find at 502 East Main. If you have any questions, give us a call at 830-997-6123 or email us at info@txhillsrealty.com. To read more about the discussion topic today or to see our listings, go to txhillsrealty.com, where we like to say we help natives sell and others